It's time for my movie review of It. I just saw this opening night. Been thinking about it for a few days, letting it soak in. I figured now it's time to give my take on it. So, this is, of course, a remake for an old movie that came out in 1990, so a long time ago, but it was a made for TV movie. This is just the first half of it, and it looks like we're going to have a second half coming up here. So let me start with the original. Here's a nice image of Tim Curry. He's looking a little pissed off. So it kind of is about these kids that are in a small town, pretty much terrorized by this clown. This clown just shows up, and you slowly start learning the history of where he's from and why he's here, what he feeds off of, kind of what he's doing. And he's going around terrorizing these kids. These kids right here. These are the kids from the new movie. And if I can say anything that is the most positive thing I can say about this movie is these child actors carry this film. All of them in this movie really hit home. I saw this with a group of about 7 people, ages of 65 to 15, so big family, and everyone liked a different person. I particularly like the kid there with the bottle glasses. Reminds me of one of my old students, but he is from Stranger Things. He just kept making these hilarious jokes the whole movie. I think my wife really enjoyed the kid with the asthma. Her uncle really liked the chubby kid. So these guys really hit home. They hit on all different levels, and they carry this movie more than anything else. And that's a real testament to their ability and to the film overall, because you actually start caring about these people. But they aren't the only ones in this movie. You also have Pennywise. This isn't Tim Curry. Tim Curry was in the television one. This is Mr. Skarsgård here, and he does a good job. He has some cool mannerisms. He has some cool lingo. He's generally, based on the crowd reaction from when I saw this, a good person to play the role of Pennywise. Okay, I know that's gonna make some people mad that love Tim Curry, which is me. I actually think Tim Curry just blasted out of water. This has to do with his personality, the way he talks, the way he can actually uh, have a little bit more emotion, and his face movements look a little bit better. I started this video by showing you Pennywise kind of just standing there in one scene when they're in the garage, and he just has this dumb look on his face, and I don't really know what the deal is. I remember when the movie first started, I'll say this. I first saw Pennywise, as you're seeing now, and the first time I saw him underneath the street, I was like, oh, he looks dumb. He has a dumb voice. He's talking stupid. This isn't believable. And then he made a really cool facial expression, and I was like, okay, I can buy him. And I was like, wow, that really shifted my viewpoint right away. And I was genuinely happy about that. But as the film went on, I saw that there's a lot of cheap special effects. I know they probably spent a lot of money on them, but they just kind of look stupid to me. Um, so in this scene right here, kind of just showing you what his face looks like. I know that's not exactly how it looks, but this is doing it a benefit, in my opinion. Bill is hearing like his brother downstairs in his basement, and so his brother's doing, "Will you float too? Float too?" And he keeps saying this thing, which was in the trailer. And when I saw it in the trailer, I thought it was really negative. I just didn't understand what the big deal was, and it made me not want to see the movie in the first place. So when I actually saw it, I was like, "Oh, it's not as annoying. It's not as annoying." And then I saw the clown come out. Pennywise comes out of the water, and he just makes a run right at Bill, and he's pretty much doing the actual Rose dance. He's kind of just shuffling back and forth, or not even actual Rose. Do you remember the golfer from Caddyshack? Yeah, he kind of looks like the golfer, kind of, I'm all right. So I just felt like that took him out of the movie. The other scene I saw this in was they're in his house, I guess the well where he's gonna go back, which I'll show you, and he just starts running at the screen and at to a door, and it's like, okay, what are you doing? He had another kind of weird facial expression, and it just looked a little odd. I guess the CG they used or the movements they used just looked a little odd, and it was kind of one of those cheap jump scares. And I kind of knew that going into the movie. I mean, I'm older now. Cheap jump scares really don't really do it for me at all. I don't particularly like them. I'm much more akin to a movie like The Witch, where I have to think, or it's more psychological. But the crowd liked it again. So as much as I can knock these things and say, oh, that's kind of stupid or kind of silly, I also have to look at it from the sense that the crowd liked it, and that's the audience that's watching it. And if the audience likes it, who am I to disagree with it? I'm just pretty much telling you my opinion and how people, generally in my age group, are looking at this thing. But here it is. A clown shows up. He shows up every 27 years. He's not just a clown. Who knows what he is? He's just it. That's why the kids call him that. So he's terrorizing these kids. He's, going around. He's eating people, killing people. They install a curfew. And this band of guys and a girl get together, and I think they're called the Losers. And, they say that there's a problem. The main one, Bill, had his brother die. So they go looking for him. They go through sewers. They go all over. They bond. And they really do hit it off. Then all the children start actually seeing something that scares them, something that terrifies them. It's this clown. Sometimes he doesn't appear as a clown only. Sometimes he has other things. But he's terrorizing them. Here he is, kind of with his balloons, which is always a creepy little image. Oh, look, there's a clown with balloons. But really and truly, if you were seeing some clown with the balloons and then all of a sudden that dude pops up, you're going to be a little afraid. And you can see by the terror on this guy's face, he's afraid of this clown. And generally, Skarsgård does play a pretty scary clown to the audience again. And I'll get back to that later. Let's just keep focusing on this. So they eventually say, hey, we got to take out this clown. And Bill's the brave one. Bill's like, we got to take this thing out. We got to go in there. We got to destroy this clown. So I showed you the scene in the garage earlier. Scene in the garage, they actually determine kind of where everything leads to and where he's from. So they look at the sewers, and they determine that he's living in this house. But this house actually has a well inside of it. And that's where they're going to have to go to kill this guy. But here's Pennywise outside of his, I guess, house. I guess you could call it his house. But he's outside there. He's holding his balloon. This is when he's coming over for Asthma Kid. And he actually releases, the Asthma Kid's actually a really good character. He's afraid of like sickness and stuff. So he's taking all these placebos. And his mom's really overbearing. But he actually gets attacked by some sickly dude that just looks like a crackhead, in the city. But it scares the hell out of this kid, and he's freaking out trying to get away. So what is he trying to do here? What's this clown really trying to do? Why don't he just run up and grab these kids? Well, we learn he's feeding off their fear, and he's eating them, and he's killing all these kids. But there's his actual house. Pretty cool house. He has a nice house. I don't think he has to pay taxes on it. But if he did, that'd be kind of insane. Everyone else has to pay taxes. But that's still the same scene where the kid goes in, he's walking by and he tries to get by and he ends up being chased by this sickly dude. But they eventually realize they got to go back into that house. So I think they have a few lookouts and some of them walk inside the house and they're like, okay, we're going to go stop this creature. We're going to stop it. They don't even ever call him Pennywise. But here he is inside of his actual house here. And wait a second. Who is that? That looks like a... Do you see what I'm talking about over there? So this is a scene where he's in the kid from Stranger Things is in the house and he sees just a room full of clowns. He's actually terrified of clowns. And he's just like, oh, whatever. And Pennywise comes out and he runs at him. Same kind of jump scare. Not particularly cool to me. But I thought this was interesting because right over here we look like we have the Pennywise from the original movie. Tim Curry's making a cameo in dummy form. But this whole scene, this whole area of the film, they go in there, they're like, we're going to take on this clown. And they jump in there and they're fighting this guy. They're like, okay, we'll fight him. They don't know what they're doing. But they do know that he's trying to keep them separated. keep them separated, offspring. But when they all get together, he's having some issues. They're all still afraid of him, um, and so they're having trouble doing anything. If you can see, they're having trouble like having the courage to stand up to him, and that's really kind of what the film's about. It's having the courage and having good friends, and be able to fight back. Standing together, not just abandoning each other. But this is actually a really good scene. He comes up there, he's chasing them all, he gets them all cornered, and it's fairly effective. In the audience I was at, everyone was kind of like, oh my gosh, kind of screaming a little bit. And there are some pretty good special effects, save for the couple I talked about. I even mentioned the one about the garage where Pennywise like explodes and he's this giant dude and makes no sense and it looks really cheap. And but this is a scene where you kind of get a close up of him and see that he's just kind of grabbing on these kids and trying to stop them. And I think our girl character there actually beats the crap out of him and stabs something into him, and so they see that they can hurt it. Um, this scene's also kind of funny because our chubby kid gets sliced up, and this kid breaks his arm when he falls, but no one seems to care about him getting sliced up, except for our bottle kid there that likes to make fun of everything. He's quite funny. He's like, this guy's bleeding hamburger helper. But that's just one of the best scenes. You gotta see it situational. Here's actually the well that they're gonna go in later when they decide to fight back and kill this guy. So it's really important that they band together, and you can see all the kids again right there. I just think it's a little uneven in our special effects departments. Like, this is just a real subtle thing. They hint at it earlier in the film, and people don't really notice it. I noticed the crowd didn't notice it. And then they bring major attention to it later in the film, and they actually show them kind of just on the television. And that's more of creepy. That looks like the lady from Lamb Chop. That's all I know her from. And if you look at those kids, those are the kids he's killed already. So, I mean, this is more of a subtle special effect that kind of works for a practical effect. And that's my major problem with the movie. It's uneven with the effects. I think they should have built more time psychologically. And I know what you're saying. It's nostalgia. But look, Tim Curry's even laughing at it. He's like, ah, ha, ha. Just something a lot creepier. And it's not nostalgia speaking. It's not from when I saw the movie when I was young. But just the facial expression and just the idea that this guy is just walking around and they subtly show him up. I mean, he just shows up in between some sheets at one time. And look at his facial expression. What is that? That's a master actor right there, just showing off what he has. And you miss that a lot of times with these newer films. And it tries to run a good balance, and it does for the most part, and people liked it. But I don't know if I do. That's kind of my facial expression right now. I know Tim Curry gave it his praise and everything, but you can't achieve that with what they currently have. And I know the new guy, his hair is like real hair almost, it looks like. This is fake. Maybe that has something to do with it. But I generally think something like that is a lot creepier. Look at, he has different colored balloons. He's just kind of waving at the car as they go by. That just seems a little bit creepier because it seems like a real environment. And they shot this movie in a real environment and everything. I just find special effects to be a little uneven. Like, that's kind of creepy. That kind of looks stupid, but I mean, that can be kind of creepy. There's this clown just walking around. Anyway, regardless of what I'm saying, I would have appreciated more special effects like this. But the movie is generally a good movie. I mean, it was entertaining. I enjoyed watching it. I didn't really have too many complaints. It was a little uneven. The first movie itself had a lot of problems. The actors weren't as good, and the second half really fell flat. This is only the first half, which is the best part of the first film as well. But I would have really liked more special effects like this than what we got. But if I had to give this thing a rating, talking to my friend of mine, we were about a point off. So I'm going to give the movie a 7 out of 10. Didn't think it was that scary, but did appreciate that the acting was really good. I'd say it's better than the TV movie, except for the clown. Hated all the loud noises when there was trying to be jump scares. I'm sure a lot of people will like it and it'll make a lot of money. So, go check it out. Make your mind up for yourself. If you're 32 like I am, you probably won't like it. Well, until next time, this has been Attention Gaming Disorder.